Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from the glittering high society island resort pavilions, toxic influencer networks, and corporate crisis management grids, and descend directly into the shadow-drenched, calculation-heavy tracking matrices of the American judicial infrastructure, weaponized courtroom procedures, and the deeply protective world of elite defense attorneys shielding their clients from absolute systemic ruin. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, mahogany-lined courtrooms of Ohio, the exclusive institutional containment facilities, and the lethal analytical parameters of a highly intense, liberty-preserving legal defense matrix with cruel sentence, the exceptional, pulse-pounding eighth structural deployment, anchoring the globally dominant, chart-topping Nate Shepard legal thriller series by the absolute undisputed sovereign of razor-sharp trial tradecraft, gritty procedural pacing, and high-velocity emotional tension, Michael Stagg. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated legal protagonist asset running a strict survival loop, a powerful, dangerously territorial prosecution machine, and an absolute defense of a wrongfully accused individual's final personal sovereignty metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn legal thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant defense protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of corrupt municipal politics, corrupted evidentiary forensic timelines, and a deadly ring of active institutional gaslighting while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised justice ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep demographic profiling, calculated cross-examination boundaries, and absolute mental stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory state network, and where the author utilizes an incandescent veteran defense attorney uncovers a deep state judicial conspiracy during a high-profile murder trial diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits. This book is engineered to lock you in. Stagg completely dominates the obsessed lawyer meets unyielding bureaucracy dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating institutional paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre vangs like John Grisham, Scott Turow, Michael Connolly, and Robert Dugoni, while treating realistic courtroom litigation logistics, complex personal alignment arcs, and protective high-density trial tradecraft grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legal defense operation, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of massive public media scrutiny, deep-seated political rivalries, and a hyper-visible targeting profile by the county's ruling administrative capos. Behind Nate Shepard's rigorous courtroom footprints and tense case ledger files lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried municipal secrets, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Nate's collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of surviving brutal trial warfare and personal losses, his entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from rival political entities, parsing complex behavioral shifts from his powerful, cold-eyed prosecutorial adversaries, and shielding his vulnerable clients' autonomy nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches his active scanning perimeter. A seemingly straightforward criminal prosecution flips into an absolute state-sponsored frame-up order designed to permanently suppress a devastating piece of systemic evidence. As the hostile prosecution's mobilization phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier, a series of suspicious administrative sabotage attempts, targeted witness intimidation setups, and calculation-heavy media ambushes threaten to permanently eliminate Nate from the active attorney registry. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when his defensive courtroom maneuvers and raw evidentiary breakthroughs reveal that his current alignment is radically impossibly altering the state's historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine plea bargaining and peaceful legal compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonist run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across the municipal underground, where deceptive corporate houses, highly manipulative political fixers, and a calculation-heavy law enforcement syndicate launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress their survival data stream.
the tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the grand courthouse steps, dark archival vaults, and private fortified office chambers into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective legal protagonist is forced to deploy his massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw intellectual stamina to repair his perimeter and earn true institutional stability before the next systemic judicial realignment permanently deletes his progress. When deceptive romantic red herrings, corrupted financial ledgers, and calculation-heavy tactical ambushes launch aggressive plays to delete his path, his survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight archival excavation, every silent choice to stand off against an arrogant appellate judge behind standard security barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at his reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the dark elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Stagg reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial indictment or managing a difficult client relationship. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of institutional hierarchy and high society supremacy. While our central protagonists smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their union, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that historical emotional hazards have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure his sanctuary, our resilient hero must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of his final boundary lines. It is a legal suspense thriller, courtroom drama, deep state judicial noir, high-velocity criminal justice crisis masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered objection triggers a fatal courtroom showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes cross-examination confrontation, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Stagg writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive fountain pen ink, old parchment, fresh coffee, rain-slick concrete, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this 8th installment into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes community dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Cruel Sentence is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes legal fiction and intense procedural suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unput-outable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell with your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.